exciting to hear from her. And she just has so much wisdom. So I'm thankful that we have the recording to share with you.
And I am so sorry. I wish that I had remembered to hit record and capture all of that, Danielle.
It's okay.
Anyway,
it's okay.
I wholeheartedly agree with absolutely every word you just said. And so here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. Give Danielle and I a little bit of grace. We happened to be in the room when Jihan shared this, and it was so powerful. The recording that we have is literally from someone who was in their seat. I mean, it's kind of like getting a knockoff movie from Mexico and the person in front of you gets up and leaves the theater and you hear the popcorn. Like, it's not a stellar recording. And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Do not be distracted by the visual. In fact, if you want to just not look at your device and just listen, that would serve you very, very well, because this woman speaks truths like nobody's business. And I just want you to capture all of that. So I don't want you to get distracted by, oh, I can't quite see the screen or whatever. It's going to be okay. All right. So please make sure that you're muted. And I will go ahead. Oh, let's see here. This is the part where it's hard to be graceful.
Yes, and you can mute, and you can even stop your video so that you're not distracted by faces and other things. And then just we can pop our videos back on as soon as the conversation, as soon as the presentation's done. So don't feel committed to that, like truly distraction free, because it's just so good.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everyone. It's fun in our presentations, right? Anyway, thanks, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. I was asked to speak with you today about the tools Young Living provides for free, tools they provide to us for our organization. I'm specifically going to be speaking about YL Insights, okay? Before I get into that, though, let me tell you a little about myself. My little claim to fame in Young Living is that I was able to build diamond levels, working the business part-time, all while continuing to work full-time in my career, having kids, etc. I was, and I always have been, the sole breadwinner of my family of 5. So giving up my main income while building is not an option. My focus had to be, and still is, on long-term strategy and efficient use of my activities during the time I had to devote to growing my organization. I like to grow methodically, not frantically. Maybe preaching to the choir. My intention is to show you some of what has worked for me. It can be helpful to you, but also can help you as a leader navigate the conversation of a potential business builder who has a full-time whatever else, okay? Including having lots of kids, right? To be clear, also much of what I was showing you is exactly where I dropped the ball over the last few years, and my business suffered as a result. Like many of you and your teams, you're in a rebuilding phase. This has me excited though. I like this. I like this. It brings new energy. I know if I can do it once, I can do it many times over. We could call it pandemic or out of stock or shipping issues or whatever, right? We always want to put a name to something. The truth is, it's just business, right? Things happen and they'll continue to happen. Our ability to adapt is what sets successful businesses apart from others. When I was assessing what I need to rebuild, I took a look at the numbers I knew to make the most difference for the way I wanted to build, and that's for long-term stability and strength. And guess what? While all these factors, other factors may have played a role, the fact is, I was not holding up my end. As a longtime businesswoman, I know how important it is to take full responsibility for my role, even if it's uncomfortable. I faced many hard times in my 25-year career. Also faced a lot of good times. But I've always bounced back and grew beyond where I was before. I was very lucky when first starting to build Young. My awesome upline passively sustain themselves making like 82 cents a month. Seriously, this is how I thought. I thought that's what people did in network marketing if they were even lucky. I didn't understand it. So here's Jeffrey and Gail, and I think Vicky Opera was there, and Vaughn was teaching. And it blew my whole world open. First, they were all clearly making more than 82 cents a month. So it was that. Okay? Second, Vaughn taught something that has stuck with me until this day. She said, build, and then build again. Like, what? So before hearing her speak about this, I thought in terms just of like goals, like you hit this rank and that rank, and then eventually you're done, right? But she didn't speak this way at all. At the time, she was a diamond. There was no other rank after that, by the way. So she was just diamond. And I was wondering, why was she still out teaching and stuff? Like, what was she doing? If she already hit diamond, what was she doing now? And she told us it was because she was building to diamond all over again. Not because she lost diamond, but because she was just doing it again. Instead of 6 legs, she was now building 6 more. For whatever reason, this shifted my mindset instantly into seeing this as a legitimate long-term business that you could continually grow for strength and stability. There doesn't need to be an end. You just keep developing skills to do it even better as you grow. I'm so very grateful for that early lesson and mindset shift. It's guided me through this whole thing, through this whole time. It's why I look at stats and trends while growing and not ranks. Reaching new ranks are great, but I could have way more rewards when thinking in terms of benchmarks and growth, not just goals. After all, we're all motivated by rewards and reinforcements, right? It could be way more reinforcements than just ranks. All right, want to learn some strategies that I use? Okay. Okay, first, be able to answer common questions and make sure your people can too. I recently had a meeting with a group of my leaders, and the gold leader had this agenda she wanted me to follow, which that's just funny in itself. But anyway, so she wanted me to do it. Not respectful of me. And it was mostly like, do this and do that, and tell my people this, and tell them they should do that, kind of like, you make them do these things, whatever. And I was like, well, maybe we should first ask, like, what do they want to learn? Why are they even showing up? Like really kind of start more from basics that way. These are people who've already been in Young Living for a long time, so it was easy to assume that they just wanted some new strategies because business was down. But my instinct said, I don't know, it just told me different. It's like they really didn't understand all the recent changes, and that alone may be what was holding them back and stifling growth. So when I first asked, like, what do you guys want to talk about? It was total silence. That I felt like I was really hitting the nail on the head, and this might be it, because now they're like embarrassed. So I started to take a chance. I took a chance. I started asking, maybe, suggesting things they may want to discuss or possibly, get embarrassed to mention, as if they should already know it, especially because they've been with Young Living for a long time. It was simple, right? I just needed to answer them. So here, what is the difference between a customer and a brand partner? They couldn't answer that. I just had this feeling like they couldn't answer it. What's the difference? Do we still need to buy a kit? Or what if you want to buy a kit? What if you wanted to do that? So here we are, even though we've been teaching this over and over again, do not assume that everyone is paying attention or getting it. Once we went over these answers, many were relieved and started to get to work again. Sometimes, guys, it can really just be that simple. Okay, always think of the simple things first. They did not mention at all, and listen, I'm in New York, okay? It's been rough. But they did not mention the events in the last couple of years of shipping or stock or whatever. They simply just didn't fully comprehend the changes. That was it. Right? We're in this. We're fully committed no matter what. Right? We take the time to learn everything we have to learn, and even we still sometimes get confused. Try to imagine it through the lens of your team. At the least, they just may not be as invested, and at most, this can be confusing and overwhelming along with the rest of life right now for many. But get simple about it. It's just another thing to do and learn, and some just don't have the capacity right now. If we can break it down simply and answer the most common questions, it'll go a long way in regenerating momentum. For my team, I put it all in a document. It's time-saving and strategic for me. I listen for the needs and respond with an explanation in a document so they could have full training that they can also share with their brand partners. Before I go further with this here, so stop with me. Okay, before I go further with this, I want to say this number. You hear a lot of people talking about systems and how are you going to create systems, right? And you want to go in there and do yourself based on like what you think they need to learn in that moment. And some of that may be true, but you can build the greatest systems if you listen to the questions that your team is asking and respond by putting it in a system. Okay, that's how you create the system. I always think if one person is asking, 1,000 others are wondering and they're not asking. Throw it in a system. And you want to be grateful for the ones that are speaking up. They're the ones that are going to drive your systems. Be grateful for them. Okay, making it simple. When viewing YL Insights, listen, I know this can be super boring, but just follow me along with this, okay? When viewing YL Insights, there are 4 key metrics that I look at and teach my team to look at. Estimated commission, enrollers, subscribe to save percentage, and unit level OGV. Of course, I'm always also pointing to the share YL and my YL links as well. You'd be surprised, I don't know, maybe not, and how many people do not even know they have these links. I had people at that meeting, by the way, I was like, take your phone out right now. You know how many of them hadn't even downloaded YL Insights? Again, this is a free tool we have, something you can teach right away. They didn't even download it. So I had them download it, I had them open, sign in, open it up or whatever. And then I always want to point out to them and reinforce how simple it is to share. So I go right to the share links. And here, this is how you share. At the very least, you're having a conversation with someone and they're like, how do I do this? Well, go in, get your share link and send it. It's giving them simple steps that they don't have to think about. People's brains are full of information already. Make it simple. Talk to them in a simple way, okay? All right. Estimated commission. While it's certainly nice and useful to get an idea of what we're getting paid for the month in estimated commissions, I like to use this a little bit differently. I use it with my brand partners as a tool to reinforce their efforts. All right, we only get paid one time per month, and it's 2 to 3 weeks after the close of the month, closer to 2 to 3 weeks, right? For some, that could mean that it's 6 to 7 weeks after their first sale. That's a long time to go without reward for effort. A long time, especially in this day and age of instant gratification. So having my brand partners look at this number, and by the way, not to get attached to this number and like, oh my God, it was like $6 off or whatever. It's just to understand that there's something here. I have to look at this number in YL Insights, and it shows them that their efforts are indeed paying off, even if it doesn't hit their bank accounts for a few weeks. They know something's coming. Plus, it's one of the fun numbers to look at, especially if stats and trends are like not your thing, right? This is like an easy number. So you could say, you did this, oh look, you're there. Now you can see there's a payoff for it, okay? All right, next one. Follow me here. You represent sales. You go out and find people, they buy products and that's sales, right? You yourself is sales, it's necessary. But remember, we're also in networking, not just sales. Your enrollers represent the strength of the network. Here's why this is important. Let's say you're like a super duper influencer, which I'm totally not. But let's say you are, right? And you sign up 1,000 people per month. Here, obviously it's awesome, all right? But that would mean you have one enroller. That's you. You're doing all the effort. That's one enroller, right? But what if you also had 1,000 enrollers in your organization and not just you? And those 1,000, even if they just one person per month. That's it, one person per month, all right? Think of how the exponential growth could go from there. Okay, when you take time off, your network still grows. When you're sleeping, your network can still grow. We all know you cannot build to the high ranks with it just being you. You need more enrollers. Again, I know you know all of this, but now let's talk strategy. We're training your brand partners. Yay! Okay, we're training your brand partners. Talk to them about this number. Okay, if they are at 1 or 2 as an enroller, have that number, the enrollers, we can encourage a benchmark of 4 or 5 or 10. You see the difference between a benchmark and a goal, by the way, right? Just hitting things along the way. Okay, As they grow, their benchmark can increase. You can keep adjusting it. It's a number outside of rank that can be used strategically to grow and reinforce. Get this number up. Eventually, it'll be in the hundreds of thousands, but most cannot conceptualize diamond numbers when first starting out. This makes it easier for us as leaders to help our people set up benchmarks and then congratulate them for reaching it. We have a lot more things to celebrate along the way. Next one, my enrollments and second level enrollments. Yikes, okay? This is like bad when I looked at this, okay? This was some of my yikes numbers. What am I personally doing to grow and model for my team? How many am I personally enrolling in a month? How good am I at teaching those brand partners how to do the same to your second level enrollment? Let's just say I have a lot of room for improvement. But I'm happy to have these numbers because I can look at them. Instead of getting all emotional about it or beating myself up, by following these metrics, I'm clear where there are gaps that I now need to put my attention to. All good. It's useful information when running a business. All right, percent unsubscribed to save. The best we can want for our organization is recurring orders, right? One and done is death. Well, recurring orders, it's like continually starting over otherwise. So the higher this percentage, the better, obviously. We know that we can get this number up by educating on the value of STS, of course, continually teaching about our products, having stellar customer service with our personally enrolled. It takes away the idea that you have to do this organization-wide. We can teach new systems so that as new brand partners come in, we help them model, okay? And when we teach them to do the same, you start to see this go up. There's another thing that's coming soon, and that's STS percentage trends, this feature that's coming soon to Wild Insights, where we can, again, look at the trends. When someone is just starting out and joins Subscribe to Save, okay, and plus teaches a few people to do the same, the percentage will obviously be high. So when you're starting out, now, forget about the rock stars that we heard yesterday, because they're like, I got 95%. I'm like, my mind's blown by whatever that is. For most people, when they first start out, if they go to STS and they have one brand partner, like they're gonna be at 100%. They seem like rock stars too. So I'm really impressed by the platinum and diamonds that have that. That's awesome. Because usually, eventually, as more people join your organization, that number will go much lower and maybe even out at some point. And then you start the real work of getting new people on and keeping the ones you already have on STS engaged in the program. When you see this number trending down, especially over time, it's time to up your game in educating about STS and product education, because product education tends to drive this number up. Okay, this is one of my most favorite numbers to look at. We all have our why, or hopefully we're focusing on our purpose. My why in Young Living and beyond Young Living has always revolved around hope, stability, and peace of mind. I'm not motivated by rank. Although being a diamond is obviously awesome, I'm not motivated by it. Being the sole breadwinner of my family, growing up with a father who was our sole breadwinner and dying at almost the same age I am now, knowing how life could flip upside down in an instant. Peace of mind, stability, hope, they've been at the forefront of my life for a very long time for many reasons. For me, this number comes closest to representing those themes in my Young Living business. This is what I was searching for when getting in the Young Living business to begin with. My career, our income was and is entirely dependent on me. And while I've been blessed with success in my full-time career, Young Living has given me the opportunity to relieve some of the pressure by providing tools to create a network of sales that we get compensated for. Our comp plan is more special than I think many people realize. When we move away from the myopic viewpoint of rank alone, there's a whole other world of possibility. At that class many years ago with Juan, she was talking about how the highest paid part of the comp plan is in the first 5 levels. This was one of the reasons she was building wider after already being diamond. It wasn't over for her. She could build more stability and ultimately more income by getting as much volume as possible in her first 5 levels. At some point, most of your volume will be outside of your first 5 levels. That's expected as you grow, right? But you can continually grow your uni level OQB as well. In fact, you can go as wide as you like in our comp plan and teach your people to do the same. Even if it means them doing one rank and then doing it again, you can go as wide as you like. This is just another set of strategic benchmarks you can create for yourself. Hitting these ranks do not have to be your end goal. They could just be the bonuses along the way to whatever your mind can conceive. The opportunity never ends, certainly not for people just starting out, but also not for RCDs. Room for expansion always exists. My gratitude for this knowledge and of course for this company runs deep. By focusing my limited time on these numbers and using them for my strategies to build, I'm thankful that I weathered the last few years well, in spite of me dropping the ball all over the place. I'm stable. My team is stable. Young Living was never, ever an exit strategy to my career. I love what I do. Young Living was an asset strategy, and it still is. Doing this business with these tools just allows me to reach more people more effectively with the time I can commit to this. And it brings another level of hope, peace of mind, and stability I currently have, and I'm always yearning to take to the next level. I hope you see how focusing on these metrics in Young Living Insight or Wild Insights can help you in your vision of where you'd like to see yourself and how to build a robust, thriving organization that can withstand the test of time. Create a spreadsheet. I know we hate that word. Seriously, create a spreadsheet. Okay? Create a spreadsheet, follow these numbers over time. And whatever other trends you want to follow. I love the trends. But anyway, okay, I have several more that I follow. Create your own strategies on how to get these numbers up. Celebrate your wins. Measure your success through your wins throughout the day. Okay? Measure your team's wins. Congratulate them. Focus on the present and what you want to build for the future. And please enjoy your life along the way. Money does not fill all the voids. In fact, one of the only voids I can think of is if you're totally broke, right? And the stress of that, and I've been there before. But money does not fill all the voids, but your purpose does. Get behind your purpose, use the tools, develop the skills, fail forward. Don't be afraid to fail. You learn so much, it's opportunities, right? Show your peeps how to follow these metrics and find these share links. Many still don't know, as I said before. We want to get Young Living's essential oils. We've got to be careful. We don't want to say essential oils in every home. I don't want essential oils in every home. I want Young Living's essential oils in every home. The last thing I'm going to leave you with. I live in New York. My office is in Midtown Manhattan. Okay, it's the corporate center. I can't even describe to you what it looks like there. You almost couldn't. How many businesses have closed? I'm talking Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. I'm talking my building alone, my floor, GoDaddy is on my floor. Extra TVs in my building, gone. They're gone. Okay? It's unrecognizable to me. I've been in New York my whole life. It's unrecognizable to me. Do you know what never closed? Young Living. Young Living. You know who never stopped sending more checks? Young Living. If you've never read The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, I would recommend you getting it and reading it, seeing the long term of this. Okay? Understanding that, because what we have here is so special, and I know everyone lives different in different places, but coming from the place I come from, I am so grateful. I see Young Living doing what they did in the last couple of years as rock stars for doing it. Because many well-known companies couldn't do it. And you know, I could go on, but there's other people that got to. So, thank you all. Let's get back to work. All right, let's inspire our teams. We have something special.
All right. I don't know about you, but I have an entirely additional page of notes, which I'm sure is in addition to those that I took in January when I heard Jihan live. We would love to take a few minutes here and get your feedback. What jumped out at you? Use the chat box or unmute yourself. What did you glean from that? Share away.
I know it was hard to hear, and there was, you know, you really have to focus on what was going on to pay attention. But one of the things that I love about her is that her peace of mind and her motivation is not by rank, and I resonate with that tremendously, because I love and am so thankful for, you know, hitting the rank of diamond and being able to provide for my family in that way. But I've always said that if something happened, I would still share Young Living, just like I share my hairdresser, and just like I share my, well, I can't say my hairdresser because I cut my own hair, but but you know, like we make a referral to someone for so many different things. And right now, members are getting these 10% off codes. And even though we have the difference between a brand partner and a customer, there are so many people that will never share Young Living ever. They still have a discount code that they can share with a friend, and that friend that they share with might end up being a big builder or customer, or fall in love with the product and want to share themselves. And so I think we limit ourselves so much when we focus on, if y'all are following Chris and Boss, I couldn't think of her name. Today, you know, she stressed practice does not make perfect. Practice makes progress. And so if we get stuck on this perfection and stuck on, I have to hit this rank, we're always going to fail, because we are part of 8% of 100% of Young Living members that are doing this at this rank and beyond. And so only 8% of us will hit that mark. That doesn't mean that 92% of us won't be successful in other ways. You could be very lopsided in your legs for a very, very long time. I think we've mentioned it before, Sarah Johnson, 7+ years to get to silver. We don't know what the future holds. So if we're only motivated by rank, and we're only motivated by this ladder that we think we're climbing, it's easy to get distracted. And so I think when we find our niche, when we find what motivates us and what drives us, and then our tank is always filled if we're staying in that lane. And so you have that hope, stability, and peace of mind that she's talked about, and that the rest of the world, I mean, she is in a building in New York City with the most prominent businesses. I mean, Extra TV is just going to shut down all of their business offices and say, everybody go home. And who suffers from them doing that? Every single in-person employee that they relied on that can't do their jobs from a remote setting. The owner of said building, who lost rent and revenue on all of that. The investors, the silent partners that go into that. The janitor that was cleaning that building. You know, so many people were impacted by the fact that they had to shut down that business. And yet we had the opportunity. And while there have been so many ups and downs the last couple of years, we have the opportunity to put a tool in someone's hand that says, we are going to share this product because we're motivated by this product. My personal testimonies don't change, whether I'm a diamond or I'm a silver or I'm a senior star. My story doesn't change. They're still equally as powerful. And so if we keep that mindset as we're growing and as we're intentionally pouring into people in our community, it's really easy to stay focused and stay the course and not let the outside influences, get to us. And so I really appreciate that that was not in Young Living wasn't her exit strategy. It's not where she was, I'm building this to do this. This was, I'm building this because I love this product and this business model makes perfect sense for me, for my family, for my existing profession. And that's so critical to how we position ourselves as we begin sharing and saying, I want to take more of this as a business opportunity. I want to do these things more intentionally. But really, if you can get yourself in the right mindset starting off or wherever you're at in this business, all the other things just become distraction and noise, because Young Living didn't stop sending commission checks. They were a reflection on the work that we were doing and the work that our communities were doing, and how much of a negative influence we were creating in those spaces. But when we are allowing to creep into those places, when we're focused, the vast majority of our team, they don't know about the hiccups that we notice. And those are hiccups that when I was working in the healthcare world, let me tell you, our hiccups were life and death. And our hiccups were massive impact to the healthcare system. I mean, we're talking about big, big issues. So our things, I think it's all part of our story and growth. And so I just really enjoyed every piece of what she was saying about her focus and her vision and her purpose and all of that. So sorry, didn't mean to take up that much of everybody's time.
Hear, hear. I would love to hear from some of the rest of you too. Big things or little things that may have jumped out at you. Oh, Sandy, I think you're muted if you're sharing. There we go.
Sorry, I don't know if you noticed, my computer's kicked me off twice while we've been on this, so I missed part of it twice, trying to get connected. But what I did catch was I like the fact that she was saying, don't assume your people know the changes. Even though we've posted and posted and posted, we still come across people that don't know.
Yes.
And then just learning how to use our YL insights better. I mean, I have it, but I need to learn how to use that a little bit better. And then, educating on the subscribe to save, but then keep educating on the product, because I do have people that will message me, well, I just don't know what to get this month. I'm like, what? I can't mine's list is so long. It's like, what do you mean you don't know what to get this month? I mean, so obviously, there's, we need to educate them more on the product. So those were things that, it's like, yeah, I can relate. So
good, Sandy.
Yeah, just keep those things are always good reminders, and then catch the rest of it. So somebody will have to cue me in, or I can watch the replay.
I think maybe not necessarily as a focus for right now, but I think an ongoing conversation that would be fun to share amongst this group is, what avenues of product education do you like the best? So Sandy kind of alluded to, sharing posts. Obviously, Facebook groups has become an easy default, at least it's out there and people can search for keywords. That's really helpful. But I'm curious to, just think about it, and maybe we even share in future weeks. But what have you found has really helped move the needle? Because I hear some leaders talking about, oh my gosh, I talk about Super B so much. Everybody on my team uses Super B. Like, we are just a team of Super B. And I know that I have some favorites. They might be different than Danielle's. And so it's interesting to think that just by nature of who we are, Danielle's team might have different favorites than our team. because we talk about them differently. So I don't know. I think that's just a personal curiosity, perhaps, of how you share. I loved that, Lisa talked about doing a class solely focusing on thieves. And I think sometimes when we do classes, it's really tempting, like, I'm going to teach this whole book tonight, right? And that's completely impractical. So maybe it would be kind of cool to pick 3 supplements and literally just do a class on those 3 and let the rest of it go. So I don't know. I'm all ears. Yeah. Brittany, I understand that. And just remember that just because you might be sensing crickets, it doesn't mean that they're not listening. Yeah, you're getting some work done back there, girlfriend. I'm excited about this new mantle. This is good. That's progress in motion. I love it.
I always forget, Skylar, do you remember the feature about checking our team's most ordered products?
Yes. It's no longer.
It's no longer, okay.
I think it went away. I looked for it just like last month.
That's what I was like, I can't remember if it rolled over or.
No, and hopefully that's coming back. I know that that's not like mission critical information, but it's totally fascinating to me because I kind of get off on the psychology of how this whole thing works. And I wanted to know, like, okay, if I talk about Thieves Household Cleaner 4 times a week for a month, will it move up in the rank of our team's top 10 products, or take something totally obscure like Rahimogen, and can we get, 100 women using it?
Mm-hmm. I remember looking at mine, and when I think it was Alyssa Francis that might have said that lavender was like, number 1 on everybody's. And I was like, probably not my team because I don't talk about lavender that much.
Yep.
And sure enough, like it was at the very top, and like, it just goes to show that we're all so different. But I remember that a lot of the things that people were ordering the last time I was able to look at that, that they were not things that I taught about often.
Okay.
It kind of surprised me. So maybe we can start polling people and say, what would you like to learn about it? I do that every so often. I haven't as good about it as of late, but it's always interesting to see how people like to learn. I know I've been doing some calls with my team, and people have been staying on, an hour after, because they just want to ask questions. And I feel bad. I'm sitting here saying, we can get off, like, we don't, you don't have to be on here, but I'm willing to stay on and talk to the people who want to listen. But yeah, it's always interesting I think we're always learning. And, sometimes there are certain people that are the constants that will always pay attention because they are just loyal. And then there's other people, ebbs and flows. You'll have people within your organizations that will, for 6 months, they're on it, they're engaging, they're paying attention. And then, for 6 months they're silent, but they come back because they love the product. So we're always learning, every one of us, no matter what our rank is. We're always learning.
Right on. So that kind of leads me into a little question. Some of you were familiar with Oily Underground and how I really do believe, I will always believe it is the personal stories that draw us in every time. Just like a good sermon, as soon as you can make that scripture personal, it becomes part of me. And with the stories about products, when you connect a person to it or whatever, that's what we tend to remember. So we started collaborating with some other diamonds last month on Oily Underground, and it was on Zoom, and it was the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month. Well, starting tomorrow, we are transitioning Oily Underground to the good old fashioned conference call. And it's going to be on the phone. You do not have to worry about video, which is beautiful. It's so much easier for people to dial in and just put their phone on speaker and listen. They're going to be brief. They're going to be out about 30 minutes. And it's going to be every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. So if you need info on that stuff, holler. I know we've got combination of teams here, but I'm delighted to share that, make sure that everybody is in the know. But I also want to give this disclaimer and reminder, because sometimes as leaders, we get super excited about sharing all of these resources. And what we don't want to do is fill up your calendar with learning opportunities that then prevent you from having time to share. And it's kind of a catch-22. We want to learn, but it doesn't do any good to learn if all you're doing is taking in. At some point, you're gonna like explode with all this information because other people need to hear it. So temper your ability or temper your time for taking in information, and make sure that the very first thing at the beginning of the month, Lisa, I just read your comment. I hear you. But at the beginning of the month, I feel like you got to put in your family time. You got to put in your productive business time. And then if there are nights or days open that you want to learn, let that one come next. But please don't block out every night. As much as I love to see you, okay, please don't block out every night to just be here. Unless if you're bringing prospects with you, rock on, okay? Do that.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Make it an opportunity if you want to have, hey, girls' night, come listen and we'll
Yes.
talk oils. Those are great opportunities because you don't have to teach. Everybody else is doing it. And so if you love this format, then open your home or say, hey, let's go to such and such coffee shop because they have a back room that we can all just order our drinks and go sit in. Mm-hmm. We can put one phone in the center of the table. I'll have our notebooks out, share, listen, and then discuss afterwards. And you could even just listen for the first 30 minutes and hop off and then have discussion time and bring your computer, help people order, things like that. So when those opportunities come around, or, I mean, do what we did tonight, get on a Zoom call with your people and and we just patch the call in and listen and take those opportunities as, hey, I'm getting on a call. Does anybody want to listen with me and then discuss? So it's great for those people that you have to follow up with or that you're kind of dripping on right now. Hey, get on this call, learn with me, and then we can discuss what's going on. Yes, don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, agreed. And especially those Tuesday night table talk things. Holy cow, that would be great for the format Danielle just suggested. Like if you had a little, even somebody's living room or coffee shop, private room where it's quiet, throw that on because they're going to be brief. And then that gives you loads of time for fun, for ordering, for questions. So we just have to get creative and clever about, what does sharing look like for you?
And be bold in asking your friends who already support you and who already are ordering and doing things. I loved your party that you had a couple weeks ago of just loving on your people and doing something like that, because we oftentimes people want community. Why did Tupperware work for so long, and Mary Kay and Avon and all those things? Because you were making connections and relationships with people. So we know that even products that don't work still work as a network marketing business, not because the product is so substantial, but because people crave community. They want this. Y'all are here right now because this connection is valuable. It goes beyond oils. And that's why one of the other things that Jihan said was, celebrate wins, enjoy your life, recognize your people, and know that money doesn't fill all voids, only broken ones. Young Living is not going to fill every void, but it's going to create a community that's going to fill a big void for people right now. And so I know it's intimidating and I know it's hard, and you might think my house isn't big enough or nice enough or this and that. Let me tell you, if you open your doors to people and say, come listen, I'm listening to this call tonight, I'd love to have you. I only need to listen to maybe 30 minutes of it. You want to come have a cup of coffee, have a glass of wine, whatever you're into and whatever's comfortable for you. Bring the kids, let them go play upstairs with my kids, do something, make it inviting and create that community, because that is where the Young Living vision is birthed, and that people catch the excitement because they see you pouring into even bigger needs. Then the community starts to fill their health needs, and then their family needs, and then their financial needs. And it becomes this gift that keeps on giving. So step out of the comfort zone and invite those people, because some people are just one phone call away from that emotional breakdown, or that, feeling really disconnected and not having community or anything. There's so many things that happen around a table. And so if it's within your means, I really encourage you to facilitate that. And this is like a table. This is an extension of our living room. I've never feared social media and compliance as much as the next person, because I treat it like my living room. Obviously I don't want to go say, orange oil cured my friend's dad. Like, I don't want to do that. But I want to create a space where I'm comfortable talking in those spaces, because it's just like we were talking on the phone or doing these things, that people follow us for a reason. They're in our lives for a reason. They can walk out when they're ready. But if we create it, then people will come.
Good word. And I just want to add one other thing to kind of play off what Danielle said. There are people right now on your team who possess the spiritual gift of hospitality. And it might be you, but it might not be you. And what I want to suggest is that when you ask someone for help in that area, you are allowing them to shine in a way that they would feel so honored and comfortable. And if you said, hey, Cindy Lou, I know that you love to have company. Would you be willing to open your home and make your fantastic brownies? And I would love to come and share about the wonders of toothpaste, whatever. What I'm suggesting though, is that she might be so flattered and honored that you would ask her. She might not have the confidence to speak about the wonders of toothpaste, but by golly, she can fluff the pillows and make the brownies with total confidence. And it's a win-win. So don't think that you have to do it all. It's okay to partner. You guys, that was how I built everything. The first 9 months, I was only in our house a few times. And then classes started spinning. I would do one class and it would take me to one person's home. And from that class, we would book the next one. I just drove around. I put so many miles on our car because I would just go from one home to the next to the next. And what I found out was that there's a lot of people that love to have company. They just didn't know what to say. And so if you volunteer to show up and do the teaching, you'll find people who would be happy to open their homes. So.
Very true.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, you guys. So next week, when we meet on Monday night, and Danielle, forgive me if you already mentioned this, but we are sliding our start time back. I hate to do this to confuse everybody, but we're going to slide it back 30 minutes to 7 p.m. Central Time. So hopefully, I hope it's better. We're making accommodations to to try to help both coasts. There's no perfect time, but it can get real wonky on the West Coast if we start before kids are even home from school. So anyway, 7 p.m. starting in March. And we are going to continue with more education, information, motivation, all the goodness. Just count on it. You are always welcome to invite folks to join us. And then stay tuned to your leaders group page for all the extras, because I know everybody has a lot of stuff going on. For those of you, I don't know that anybody is real local here in the Des Moines area, but we are holding an in-person business meeting tomorrow night at Sonia Swan's house. And so if you've got team members that are in Central Iowa, even if you're not on our team, that's the beauty of it. Send them our way. We will love on them. And it's always a good time in person for sure. So any other questions? Closing thoughts? All right, friends, go change the world, would you?
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night.